So the reason I'm making these things and making these videos this way now is because I don't think that these trolls have the ability to actually go through all of my work that way. And so that's why I'm making them a bit longer these days than before. And I still do my short videos, but these things really need paid attention to because of the crimes that are being held up against me and against other targets out here that are experiencing these things. So I want you guys to know that my father has never been a father. He raped his own daughter and got psychology to work within my brothers, and we're even trying to get it to work within myself with the poisonings that these people were doing. And so it's not a fun experience to go through where these people are not allowing you to come out of a heavy poisoning for very long. And it's even including the medical industry and the police departments and the justice system itself. And so, chosen ones should know that these messages are for you. These messages are for you because you're literally experiencing certain things on certain levels that you might be able to collectively be able to understand a little bit more about your own situation based on my work here. So only time that you're supposed to look back upon the past is to literally learn from your experience, because your experience is the key to your success and the success of others who are paying attention. Most people want to skip that energy that they hold against you because they can't stand looking in the mirror of what they're having to put up a front in front of their own faces and in front of their own families and communities. So it's not that I'm creating these things in a judgmental way, but in a compassionate way, that they're just too hardened in their spirits to be able to see it for themselves. That's why they want theft of you, of getting any more quality of life on this earth. However, you deserve that victory. So that victory should be coming for you regardless on if it happens here on earth or it happens after we die. So you should know that when these things are happening, you should believe that you are in the business of the legendary. The victory that you have been wanting so much for yourself, you should rest assured right now that you should be believing in faith of God that that victory day is coming. The days of darkness are over, and you are being protected, and you have provisions in place. And these people aren't liking it because they can't handle the light that you shine. And when you're meant to be shining out these people or being outshined altogether, these people know it. They know what they did to you is wrong. They know that they put you inside of harm's way, and they know that you are in a very heavy mental restraint, like what they were doing to me emotionally, physically, and even spiritually, and within my job life. So my financially, that the ways that these people are taking inside of my life were literally like taking away my availability of funding to protect myself from their crimes against me. And so these people know that I've had high hopes to be able to have a good quality of life and, a good job to see that quality of life for what it could be. But they have been staging up, in fact, against me for their own reasons. And it's just a known fact that if you are still protecting that rapist father of mine, being my own brother's actions against me, regardless of how they want to play, it's no wonder that these people felt like their own reason psychologically as to why they needed to at least try to set me up for murder, because they knew by hacking me and by having uh, gains of functionality in my life with these proxy ties of future faking friends and future faking relationships, that they were looking to poison me up and set me up for murder. And they almost did. Many times before my even figuring it out, I would be crashing down to the ground, and then soon after, not even able to remember it or know what to do with it when I did have the block of time to remember it. So this isn't just about identity theft, it's about them controlling my love life by proxy, literally poisoning me into position to position me really nicely into their murderous behaviors of them who would be trying to do this to me. And it's just a known fact that people who want to move and perform a whole identity theft, they ought to try to save face, because knowing that I was going to come forward about the crime itself for so long by hacking my information and having more information than they should have had, being a supposed friend or being a supposed lover, they knew that I was going to be coming forward about the crime itself, so that's why these people tried to murder me, and that's why they're doing everything in their power to deflect and minimize from that truth. The truth that I had, or even the truth that I was. So it's just that psychologically messed up. When these people are protecting their own rapist father and the rape of their own sister in this way that is just so heartless of altogether of the crime, that they or any predator would feel the need to psychologically, I think, feel the need to cover up their crimes in order to protect themselves from my family and from my ability even of finally being able to remember it at all. So I'm coming forward about all of the places and all of the positions that these people had me in order to secure my brain that was nicely chock full of poisons to poison me in order to convert their crimes against me, to make me docile, not to even recognize that my own friend was a proxy tie, my own girlfriends were being proxy made, and even from Natalie admitting to me the crime itself, to a point to suggest that she was coming forward about that crime itself. And the next thing I knew, she was telling me that she was being murdered in the same ways that was happening to me. And it's called murder, you guys. When they're poisoning up a person that bad, she was like, "You don't know how bad this is," and I really do understood. I really understood how bad it is and how bad it can get. And this is the shit that literally my brothers and these proxy ties and these controllers of this crime want to protect, in a secret of trading your information behind the scenes of your life through the hackers' information that they've hacked about your life, and just the trust that they've gained inside of your life to be able to continue that crime. Because when you're poisoned up, you're looking for love, and when it's in the wrong places and you're protecting your abusers, it's a Stockholm syndrome, and you might experience a little bit of cognitive dissonance. And certainly they aren't going to like me because I am now coming forward for their heads, not literally, but figuratively, where they're making that into a literal crime. Because I just legitimately feel it's necessary to have a new name and social security number and be able to get away from these people, because they own more of my identity than I do. And there's literally no me, like, getting the gains of function of everything that they've stolen away from me, my own identity, both on the governmental level of my identity and my own integral identity as to who I would otherwise be outside of these crimes being taken up against me. So I'm after their heads with what they've been doing to me here, because they need to be seen for their crimes regardless of what the state wants to suggest, because of the whole gang stalking programming that's out here, much like the Hunger Games. If you guys have ever seen that show, I just watched two of them where you aren't even allowed to get out of the tyrant's control over a person's life. And then anyone that is that good spirit that can give people hope, they're literally just putting things in their path to literally make it that much harder for them to continue to fight for that life and that gain of function in their own life, to have a quality of life. So they want to control a person's life, and all that they do is a lie, and they just continue to lie. And they like their hate, they like their envy, they like their jealousy, they like their demonic spirits. So throughout all of these times, anyone that is protecting the abuser, like my brother is protecting his father and still contact and in contact with his father, suggests that he's all in. where raping my sister wasn't just a kid friendly thing for him, but a psychological messed up thing that he wanted to perform all that way and all of that time. And then just continue to keep their lies under wraps enough to aim at killing me by proxy just as much as continuing a poison against me with fake smiles and future faking friends and lovers throughout the entire time of my life. I've explained it before where I've had organic relationships, but even those organic relationships, these people would get in the way of in any which way that they could find to do so. You see, so when you grow up that way and you have to grow up fast, you are you are in a situation where you don't know exactly how to get out of, and these people still want to protect the abuser. So it's not that they were just created in part of the problem here, but you are literally siding with it so far that you literally are the problem then now. And that's the problem that I have with, because you can't always read through people's intentions, and sometimes just having questions of their contents of character should be closure enough, but you can't reason through that and make that what you conclude to, or what you have a conclusion to, when you're being poisoned the way I was. Otherwise, I would have ran away, like I suggested in prior work, by like 15 years old. So it's been a really long 44 years of this crime. And that's literally what we're talking about, is that it's just been such a long time that poisoning me up in order to continue the charades that these people would play in order to keep me sedated and play me right out of my own ability to voice the things as I needed to, and so much so at times that these people literally had planned for my death before being able to come out here online in the first place. It's literally why the system is like preventing me from working. They create a crime. They prevent me from driving. They're trying to stop me from being able to eat, make my ends meet, or even make it to their courts, their criminal courts. If you ask me, that's the way it's seeming to me, so that's what I'm going with. I hope that the things turn out differently for a change, because I could actually gain the functions of my brain finally. And it would be really sad if people weren't able to see through those crimes against me, because these people have been covertly hacking me, hijacking my worth, and energy harvesting off of me wherever they could, and gained trust inside of relationships that were made by proxy, but they prevented me from growing. They literally prevented me from being able to gain that kind of functional quality of life, just as they did with the poisons in the first place when I was in developmental stages of my life as a child, toddler, and growing up from there, where I never did get a chance to become my own self until 42 and a quarter years old, and I still haven't gotten a chance to become myself, because these crimes against me, they don't want me to come out here and come forward about it to where other people could find reasoning with it, where I could get correct representation and be able to grow from there. They never did want me to get a chance to be myself, where I could become of anything of myself in order to have anything of myself to compare it to, besides a poisoned up person constantly looking for help in the kind of radar way, like radar through the covert abuse that was happening to me all throughout my life. So they want to determine the craft of poisoning me as though it's just a mental health thing, because if they can poison me and point that reaction of a poisoning as mental health alone, well, they get their way. This is the same reason and the same things that they collectively have done to me in the past, putting me into an illegal 72-hour hold that even Hennepin County suggests that they had no right to hold me up against my will at all. And so the homeless shelter was next, in order to paint the scene as though that was all my worth was, when in reality, those positions are nothing but lies and further from the truth that could ever surface of being who I was actually inside of my own life without poisons. So these people helped in this country who are protecting these criminals and not the victims as the system was designed to protect, which is why I'm invoking my rights my constitutional rights, where within Article 18 U.S. Code 241 criminalizes civil conspiracies that deprive people of their constitutional rights, which is literally like the gang stalking or, a civil conspiracy where it's two or more people that are collectively agreeing to go up against a person that's going to literally hamper their abilities of work, finances, and it's literally about ruining the person's life. So this is that programming that they use in order to usher into the courts being as fraudulent as they are. People are recognizing that the family courts are fraudulent, and you can literally go on Facebook and find uh, court court fraud warrior project and fraud court or family courts fraud warrior project is what I'm a part of, and what I believe that people would absolutely need to pay attention to, and to literally take their stories out there and try to follow the scripts that they have, because we're basically fighting fire with fire here. They've been using fire to fire our whole lives. The IRS is going to be going down. The federal, you know, the federal government to the points of like our dollar. So like ending the Fed is literally what's happening. That's why your dollar is crashing, and these people are just continuing to use the availabilities to me to poison me, to decimate my characters in order so that I wouldn't be able to work and perform work performance up to my own natural self. And they're working to assassinate me on the real, not just assassinating the character of me in a character assassinating campaigns, but by gaining access to me and access to my trust, poisoning me up and positioning me perfectly for the rest of an identity theft. Because my brothers are literally babies. They're literally bitches, if you ask me, for what they've done, where they can't have a civil conversation with me that they've placed me into within this proxy warfare where I've tried. They won't answer text messages. They'll leave them. They just left me so hard pressed within the crime that they knew that they committed, and that is why I suggested to giving me my dad's address so I can go over there and f the motherfucker up and all that kind of stuff. But it's that people don't naturally see that you wouldn't otherwise be those ways if it wasn't for the many magnitude of crimes that lead you to that disposition. Where of Jesse Lee's accord, he has been hacking me, hijacking my life, performing these proxy ties to then have affairs with people that were supposed to be thought of as lovers of mine. These were things that they did on purpose to have gains of function inside of my life, to leave me without the functionalities of my own quality of life. So my father's ties as well, as far as I'm concerned, are ties to Jesse Lee himself, where the second time I was almost kidnapped by Danny Heinrich, where he tried to kidnap me 3 times by the age of 11. That second time, from memory and seeing his picture here and now from when he was a kid, that was that same kid. And so if you ask me, Jesse Lee is one sick motherfucker. And these crimes of sedation that just continued from my father, through my brothers, and through to their ability to keep me within this proxy warfare in order to control my finances, control my mind, keeping me on poisons all of the time, and my ability to escape without my own ability of reasoning through my mind in order to see that there was anything of a living condition, that I had anything in my head in order to compare it to even make a statement, to even try to articulate it, to even try to vocalize it. So now that I don't understand why people can't see that there's a clear difference with the quality of life that I'm looking forward to living, let alone comparing it to the suffering that I've had gone through all along, where they suffocated me down to the bone in order to keep me that way, and even trying to carry my life from birth to the grave that they destined for me to keep me sedated from the beginning of my life to the death of me. The almost death of me was the harshest thing that I've ever had to deal with, on top of learning where it was coming from, because it was coming from these proxy ties that my own brothers created, just so that they would never have to think of facing the crimes that they've been doing to me, because they never had, and they never did care about me. They were all a part of the problem, and now decided to be on their own, to literally be that same problem that my father created, as though he's ever given a fuck or cared about anyone when he's assaulted me and he's assaulted my sister. And my father is literally that sick of a fuck. So when these courts need the provable agreement and intent, I'm only hoping that I can establish that intent proven, even if the courts aren't willing to accept it. Even if the police and these medical communities couldn't accept that, look, I think I'm poisoned, look in my body and find the poisoning. They couldn't even do that. They wanted to point to that mental health and then get me on the fast track out of there, suggesting even that I don't ever come back there. Like, are you fucking kidding me? All because I believe in holistics and Ayurvedics. I think it's really sick and really sad, because next they're literally poisoning up my ability to perform in jobs, stealing away my jobs, hacking me in my gig app community, and even when I was homeless working for cash, it would be Jesse coming there to poison me up with the gained trust that he had at the time. I think that these crimes are sick, and they're super duper sick, and I believe that the crime that I'm having happening to me, to the levels in which it has, is the worst crime of its type all throughout America. And so I need people to understand that, or have the human capacity to even try to understand that. But in order to protect myself, I need I needed literally my own minds, but I literally need the minds of other people that can help me have something of my own life to be able to compare it to, where personally I never did. You can't suggest to me that at 4, 5, 6, or 7 years old I had anything of myself to compare myself to other than a poisoned up victim. It is literally enforced federally, if not individually. So, in these words, it's stating that I cannot protect myself without it being recognized as such from the courts. But this to me, and the wording here, is straight up bullshit, because, in other words, they're saying that they would themselves need to first care about the crimes, and they're not caring about these crimes against my humanity. They themselves would actually need to see that these things are possible, when, if there's Freemasons and there's occultists involved that are protecting these clowns in order to get away with rape and raping their own children, well, do you think that the criminal courts then are going to be able to go, oh, we care about the crimes enough to see the crimes for what they were or what they are? No, and they never have. So this is where the doubts I have within a system come into place that's allowed for the total control throughout my life. It's not being triggered by non-response alone, because the non-response literally means it's a law, a right, or a violation that does not automatically come into effect because someone didn't reply to you. Silence in it of itself then is not enough to legally prove the wrongdoing. In context, we're literally discussing that the civil rights 241 obstruction concerns. When someone says it is not triggered by non response alone, they literally mean a government agency failing to reply to emails, police not calling but calling you back or following up in any kind of normal way, offices not following up in any kind of normal way, and complaints that you're taking out here going unanswered. They actually consider these things just frustrating and wrong, but by themselves don't legally prove for the civil conspiracy, corruption, obstruction of justice, and deprivation of rights, even though it's literally all of those things. What is required, in addition to being the non response, is for legal violation to be triggered, and therefore must usually be more than such an affirmation act, where there's legal evidence of destroying evidence, falsifying reports, or otherwise. But That's just literally these people pinching their butt cheeks and lying and lying over and over. So the document of intent would be email statements and policies being not taken for verbatim, and there's selective enforcement then as well, where the proof is then treated differently than others' lives, or the police are basically treating my life as just different than they're treating other people's as lives, and that's the pattern that's been happening to me in my life. But in order to get evidence, I wasn't born with no camera on my fucking forehead. For if I had, and there was cameras going around my head, this crime would have been able to be squashed from a long time ago. But it's the causation that they're also saying that the silence needs concrete legal harm. Well, I think the concrete legal harm is literally my life and shrapnel, anybody's ability to brain and mind the crimes that have happened to me to suggest to themselves that, yes, this person has debt higher than which would otherwise be, and these problems that would be more magnanimous, or like a magnitude of a crime against him that wouldn't otherwise be just on his own accord. And so anyone that's not willing to see that, then I always say you're blind. Because the silence, if silence can be used in a way to deflect from the crime itself, then silence can also be used as part of the evidence. Because it proves why these people need to be silent and utilize the government and the agency out here as the brandished weapon that they would otherwise use to cock back and shoot you without even a care in the world, so long as they can get away with it because of their crimes. So why this distinctly matters for my own protection is that if someone's claiming the wrongdoings based on non-response, authorities can dismiss it immediately. If someone documents the dates of conduct, the contact, who was contacted, where the reports were given, what was the request, what was the response required by the policies, and what was harmed as a result, well, if they're doing investigative work behind the scenes, I don't think it would take a real bright person, let alone a bright cop, to understand it. I mean, I literally have like 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds telling me that they believe me and they see what I'm saying to be absolutely true and that they hope I get through it. And other people as well. Like, I've run into other people that literally give me the good nod, and when I do talk to them, it's nods in ways that wouldn't have been happening before my coming out on YouTube. And so, if people want to be non-responsive, it's just another part of the larger record, if you ask me. Meaning that not only can their non-responsiveness be used as like a deflective minimization of the crime itself, but enough of it can literally be used as proving for a larger record of the crime and why they would need to be so non-responsive. So it can go both ways, but it takes a person willing enough to see that as part of the crime. So a helpful analogy here is if I'm reporting the potholes in the city and the city ignores it, ignoring you is frustrating, but it's not illegal by itself. If the city knows that it caused accidents and ignored repeated reports violating safety and policies and someone was injured, then liability arises. So it's the same thing as that pothole scenario where liability arises through people being silent and people being non-actor, like just, what do you call them, NGOs, or that's non-governmental organizations. No, they're like not players within their own reality with what they've been doing, and they're purposefully doing it, so they're staying silent for a reason, as if They never did anything. I have my hands off the wheel, you know. They have their hands off the wheel. I'm not doing anything to this person, right? When in behind the scenes, they truly are. You see what I'm saying? And so just because they're being non-responsive to the claim doesn't mean that the crime doesn't exist. It just means, like I said, they're squeezing their butt cheeks and lying. But the bottom line here is that non-response plus evidence plus the impact definitely equals a potential violation here. So everything that's been going on in the dark is going to eventually come to light when you're seeing how far these people are willing to go to protect the predator. In their own case, their own selves, their own father, over their mother, who was taking care of them and clothing them and putting, food in their bellies and keeping a roof over their head. So how they respond with not understanding, or how how they respond while not understanding that they're being poisoned, like, oh, okay, so me, I'm being poisoned, all of a sudden I'm not understanding. That's not something that's allowing me gain of functions of having my own ability to require to require for a quality of life, let alone have a quality of life for me to gain the function and ability of my own self to acquire the discovery itself of the poisoning, without not only pointing to the mental health situation alone, at that they would literally be like utilizing those reactions of the poisoning to say, oh, see, he's schizophrenic, or oh, see, he's so depressed, or oh, see, he's got a psychosis. They're literally trying to take what they've been doing to make it as though it's a psychosis or anything else inside of what they can do in order to place that huge issue that I have with the system, and to place that huge crime against me within the systems in place. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter what you're after to look for the answers, just like going in and asking, can you guys just figure out that there is a high level of metals in my body, and they literally don't expose that, then you're protecting them without giving me the reason to even reach the discovery of the crimes and the proof of the crimes, even one particular part. And so that particular part I thought was very important, and I guess they didn't think so. They thought it would be funnier just to throw me into a mental health unit and suggest to me that they were willing to watch over me. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. Like, I'm not even looking for your care in that kind of fashion. I'm literally looking for the proof that I need for the courts to be able to prove that these things go further than what you guys are even willing to allow me to reach discovery of. So this is literally them protecting my father and these men from being found out about. Because to be put into a regular understanding, these people are flat out dickheads. If you want to talk words, yeah, these people are literally flat out dickheads for their crimes that they've committed over their own little brother, and especially protecting the cunt of a father of mine. And I don't even use that terminology. I don't know what terminology you can lose for what, or can use for what a big loser that fucking piece of shit father of mine actually is. All while they're just trying to get away with doing these things to my sister, where she has issues now because of it, not able to speak out. Yeah, real nice to use a fucking situation like that. These motherfuckers are straight up cunts with what they did to me because they knew. I told them. I don't want to be anything like that, and I don't want to be anything like you if you are that way, and I deserve to know which way you're willing to go. They didn't ever give me any kind of inclination at all to what they were doing. And then immediately after me coming, down to normal base from the poisoning, it would be trust or love bombing or anything else that they could get to get that poisoning in my body. And there I am, back in the same position over and over and over again throughout my life where I'd been poisoned. It's literally hard to reason through much of anything like 1 plus 1 equals, huh? Versus you normally knowing 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's literally them taking away your reasoning ability through your mind. And that's why this crime is so hard to prove to the courts, when literally these courts and the police and these officials and the medical industry are not even trying to understand the language that I'm looking for in order to determine the actual crime, where instead they're looking for other words that they can use to like literally use against me to determine just a mental health thing which protects these people. You see? And so it's entrainment, it's a setup, it's entrapment, it's all of it. And it's because of what these people are doing that are doing to me that are just so incapable of normal people being able to see that it's possible for these things to take place, that it's literally the training grounds that they're using to entrap me within the witchcraft and sorcery that they use, because not only are they using poisons, they're psychologically operating on me. They use manipulation, gaslighting, hacking, hijacking of my name, my metaphysical data, being traded, behind the scenes where I'm blinded by the crimes themselves, heavily sedated for their performance, all while these people are just ignoring the actual crime to then blame me for the reactions with how I responded on a poisoning, blaming me as the mental health patient when these reactions are literally not my character. These reactions, you don't even have reason to when you're just out of character. And like I said, it can take you many different directions from my understanding. It can make you super frustrated and confused. It can make you like literally angry, like frustrated so bad you just want to punch a hole through a fucking wall and you don't know why. It can literally like uh just many things that it can make you. It's just super frustrating of a feeling because you're literally suffocating down to your cellular level to a certain point. However much they get inside of your body is what determines that fact. And so it's really frustrating because they did get me into situations as a kid, as a toddler, as a teenager, and into my adulthood where I wouldn't be able to see these things happening to me for what they were because I didn't fucking have reasonability of my own mind to be able to get through that type of experience to just say, oh yeah, I'm being poisoned up. I wonder what it is and look it up. You know what I mean? It literally took me until 42 and a quarter years old, literally to get away from them through many months, mind you, of my fighting to get away from these people physically throwing away anything that they could give to me, knowing that now you just can't trust these people. You trust them and you trust that water, or you trust that food, or you trust that coffee, you're going to end up dead. And you're going to reason that through yourself that you couldn't even think before with all of the times before, and they want to deflect on me as if they're going to just minimize this crime against me. Oh, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourselves. That's the way I think. Anyway, you literally want to poison me up to dead to fucking hide up your own crimes against me. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Who's not going to fucking think any different? So they weren't even trying to allow me to reason for myself, let alone be able to see the said crimes that were being happening to me all the way through my whole entire reality where it was meaning to lead me to death. Like who's not going to be fucking angry about that? Let alone the emotional entrainment there, or the emotional value that's left there when it's coming from people that you've loved, that you were just coming to realize that don't love you at all. So these people would be acting in this way all of the time, and they would be. It's like, and then anything else that I could have done with my life, they people don't even think of that. They're like, oh, he's creating 4,000 videos on a mental psychosis that's caused by a mental health thing alone. No, I would be out playing my drums. I would be out rollerblading. I would be doing things different with my life than what I'm doing. Being stopped from work, mind you. Literally, like, forced asset forfeiture because they're protecting these fucking criminals. They're protecting these fucking cunt faced, dick rag motherfuckers. So I'm trying not to be so angry. I'm gonna take a small break. I'll be right back. It's plain and simple to me, basically, that I would be living my life totally different than what these people did to me and pushing me into reactions based on not only the poisons, but the psychological operating that they did upon me, where instead of me actually getting to do the things that I would be for myself outside of a poisoned up person, a poisoned up body, I would actually have that quality of life to show these people who I truly was and to literally be able to show people a lot sooner in my life for what these people truly were, not having to flip out because no one is willing to hear those crimes for what they are and what's been actually happening to them. But it's just so harsh because these people are railroading me in this state, not only in the state of mind, but in the state itself, Minnesota, where it's much like my whole life has been in this confinement, like much like a prison within my own mind, my own mental capacity, and my own ability to ever be able to reason through to know what to do with these crimes, with what they were doing within this ritual abuse towards me. So, for those that still want to go and protect my predator father, go pretend as if you didn't know what was happening. You know what you do know, and you know that you, like I said before, you need to squeeze your butt cheeks and lie. Lie, 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 all for your gain of functions inside of this life that you could even go on if you were to have murdered me. Go on just fine and act like nothing happened at all. Right. And at times I was just too young to face it. So by the time it started, I couldn't have articulated it without the poisonings. I couldn't have vocalized it without the poisons in me. I didn't have enough of a vocabulary, is what I'm saying, when it started. That's why I don't have anything of myself to compare it to. And so they poisoned me up real nicely and just kept poisoning me. So, of course, they want to call that a psychosis or anything else that they can within their medical crimes against me as well. Because my exposing these crimes are not being protected, rather, they're just clumsily calling it whatever they can, a psychosis or whatever, when it was a created one. But these people are working hard together to protect the father of mine who raped my sister. And why they got these people involved in that kind of fashion, where I've even said if I had another year with my father, maybe I'd be the same way. But I didn't want to be that way. I didn't fucking care to even have been born into a family that way. I didn't want it. Are you kidding me? I just know that I witnessed what I witnessed, and these sexual advances and sexual abuse happened to me as well. So, this is why I would like my statement to be able to come from my sister, regardless of it being double jeopardy or whatever with the courts, because I literally need to prove things for myself that I wanted to go back to a normal life. Just the same way that she wants to be able to go back to a normal life where she can, maybe wanting to ignore the facts and have love for her brothers, have love for people and family, to be able to see her nieces and nephews the same way as I would. But that's just the same reason why I believe it's cognitive dissonance, because I experienced it myself. That's the same reason why I believe that it's Stockholm Syndrome, where you're like literally protecting your abusers, because it's all that she's ever known. She didn't want to be played as like a fucking sex toy for her life. I just spoke with her on the phone earlier, and it's like, you know, it's like a person would want their love of another to oversee and overcome the abuse without ever knowing that they're literally just protecting the abusers by doing so. Or hardly even thinking for herself, or hardly even thinking for myself, that your love for these people can somehow fix the issues that they've drawn inside of your life. Where in order to protect you, they need to be there to protect you. And if they have no reason inside of their own intentions to protect you, they're not protecting you. Because when she was young, she had a chance to speak up against her father in courts, and she froze in the courts. Where right now, I would not freeze up in court. I wouldn't even give a fuck if the courts would still want to side with that motherfucker, that dumb cluck, or not. Because this is a heavy motherfucker against me, yo. That's the motherfucker that I keep talking about. It's such a hard fucking crime against me, where I can't fight it alone anymore. I need people in my corner. I need my mom and my sister in my corner. And these people out here are literally protecting the criminals, not the victims. Or seemingly, at least, where it's like nothing that's happening to me even amounts to a person being able to be drawn into a psychosis or drawn into that frame of mind, where you would be totally different if you weren't dealing with crimes after crimes after crimes against you, where I've been a target for these motherfuckers to literally utilize me as their emotional dumping ground on top of poisoning me up, psychologically harming me, torturing me, making these campaigns, smear campaigns, slandering me, utilizing my name and image, and making these false accounts and falsified informations online. These things are all illegal. It doesn't matter if they can get me into a created warrant by obstructing justice, by creating a crime, not allowing me to get there, just to create a warrant for my arrest so that they can take me to jail, circle back into my life the same way that they always have. Like, the motherfucker has a key, and I just don't have, they're not even allowing me the funds to switch things up beforehand. Like, who would fucking deal with that type of heavy obstruction where they're literally creating and falsifying a crime by their actions, specifically so that you can't even make it to their criminal fucking courts, or they don't have jurisdiction to do the fucking things that they're doing in the first place, but you got to protect yourself. If you don't make it there, that they're literally initiating that down any avenue I could try to make of even making it to their fucking criminal courts, their criminal fucking case against me, their fucking created fictional crime against me over the 30,000 crimes that have been happening to me. Like, who wouldn't be fucking mad? Who wouldn't want to go pop their motherfucking dad in his fucking face? You wanna fucking rape your fucking daughter that way, bitch. So I don't care. I don't. They're literally stopping me from trying to even make it there specifically to create another incentive. What's that incentive? The warrant for my arrest, taking me up all out of the way for them to come back, circle back, just like they've done before, where I wasn't able to see these things, just to create more crimes over my life, or create more crimes that they're taking into my life. It's literally raping my ability of having a quality of life. If anyone wants to understand it, but these victims are not being protected with these crimes. So right now, I do need people in my corner to get loud. Where instead, I understand people want to like remain docile and like not think that they have any moral culpability here at all. But when a person is in duress, it literally means that you should all be in duress for that person. Not allowing these people to clumsily wanting to like exchange the crimes that they've been placing inside of my life is just a mentally unwell thing, a mental health thing, which it's everything that they would want in order to convert and cover up their crimes. It's just the lies. It's deflective as hell. It's neglecting government. It's or neglecting uh, legal process, due process. It's obstructing me from that legal due process. It's like malpractice, medical malpractice, even. It's all sorts of lies and cover ups in order to literally get these people to escape from the truth. It's minimizing the events with the structure that is to silence me, and to silence me even to the point of trying to poison me to death and having attempts of murder over my life, where then the police aren't even doing anything there. Like, who would fucking be okay with that? You're just like literally trying to get to your own ability to just explain what's happening to you. Good fucking luck when you're poisoned up. Like, trying to get words out and shit. When it's literally you reach discovery, and you then by reaching discovery and calling these motherfuckers out, you want to take up a fucking campaign against them, sue them for every fucking thing they have because it just isn't enough. And then they're going to create these cyanide attacks to occur right after that. Whereas, well, multiple death attempts to be able to figure out where the death attempts are coming from, multiple death attempts from there, to where you know exactly the people's names and everything of where it's coming from. And still, the police can't even do a fucking job. Like, I would like to be able to discover how I can go live a quality of life. B. It's truly that horrifying and mortifying of me, where in the world I never even got a chance to be me. I literally wanted that to be my chance here, moving here. I didn't know that I was up against all of that fucking much monstrosity of a crime coming from my fucking own friend. I didn't know. But there was many times after getting away from the motherfucker being here, finally, that has opened the door to the Pandora's box of like, oh, 50 other places where I wanted to get away from him before he did what he did to me. He poisoned me up, and I literally have many memories of him doing it. Oh, but that's not a crime either. Him hacking me, him being an unwelcome guest in my house, fucking my girlfriend. I don't care if she was proxy mate or not. Leaving cum stains in my bed. My walls are all yellow. My bath is fucked up. Like literally fucking J channel ripped off of my house. My windows left open because they were smoking out my house to make these walls yellow. It's anything and everything that they could do in order to fucking gaslight me in my reality. It has nothing to do with the walls being white or yellow. It has everything to do with the psychological operation that they're performing inside of my life. So I need support, because if I don't get support in this, they're just hiding behind that plausible deniability that they've always been hiding behind in order to carry out the crimes against me consistently. So yeah, my own brother showing up for my sister's surgery without even considering me to suggest that he could come and get me, just not fucking poison me up, just to be able to be there with my sister. Like, and I see it as a fault of coercion, a concern of coercion, because I don't believe he was there to like literally hope that my sister comes out alive. I think that she was hoping that she wouldn't, because if my sister talks, it's game over. And that's why I press for it heavily. But facts are facts. She's in a situation with her health where her body cannot tolerate thinking about this stuff. Within an abusive family, dealing with family abuse and dealing with the abuses that she's had to endure. And not only that, but the surgery after surgery and things that she's going through within her own health. And this is exactly why I would never mind. I just think that my brother ought to be punched in his fucking face for what he's fucking done to this family, including my own dad, knowing far the fuck well what they did. Far the fuck well. So, if my sister spoke out, it would definitely help. I hope it would. But I can't force her to speak without her internally knowing that these things might help me, because she doesn't not only want it, all of these things to happen, but when it's happening to a person in general, you're in denial for a long time. I was in denial for a long time, but I realized if I stayed in denial, I was gonna end up dead. So my ability isn't to be able to shut down or freeze up. My ability is to go all the way in and take the words that I have against my father to take, regardless if people want to hear it or not within these courts, because the the family courts were fraudulent from the very beginning of time, in my family circumstance, and they're protecting my father, as if my father's his rights to be a protected rapist and a protected predator means more than protecting my sister for being the victim of an abuse, protecting me from being systematically abused, and even systematically abused, including my own family and all of these other fucking people that are cuckolding the fucking whole shit show that they're utilizing to stage up these crimes against me. Because if it wasn't for my sister being born with congenital heart defect and not having all of these health issues and shit, I believe that she would be just as loud as I am. But she doesn't have it within herself to be that way. But without that statement made, it's literally, I could be placed into the world's detriment inside of this fashion because they're not protecting my rights. They're protecting the rights of my father to get away with this rapey shit and being a fucking predator piece of shit that he is. So I never did get a chance to live my own life outside of the abuses that these performers have had me heavily within. So I'm trying to speak out for the both of us, and it's just so hard. It's impressive to me that people can't understand the shit that's happening to me in the first place when these people are literally trying to reinforce my life with all of these abuses against me and then use the abuses against me and the reactions that they make as if the reactions that they make in reactive abuse is the abuse itself. No, the abuse is the abuse that I've been handling and dealing with over a lifetime of it. So how scary is that these police don't even want to see the crime for what it is? They can't even protect me from a premeditated murder that's been happening, and attempts of murder over my life this whole fucking time. And that's what it is. That's what it has to do with. It's a premeditated murder to fucking cover up their crime so that they can just go, oh, what is my sister and my mom gonna be able to do, right? They're not gonna fucking do anything to protect me, being that I never got a fucking life outside of this abuse. I can tell you that much. But then it's just me up against the system, me up against the police, me up against these fraudulent courts, from the family courts on down through the criminal courts. It's me up against my family brothers. It's me up against these proxy lovers and ties. Me up against Jesse Lee. Me up against Johnny Lee. I guess now I don't know where he came from. Me up against Aurelia. Me up against Emily Dodge for having poisoned me. Me up against all of these people that are involved and in violation of my living a quality and essence of my own life, silencing me before I was even able to figure out that crime that was happening to me in the first place is what they were trying to do. Literally keeping me so poisoned up that it would silence me to the point of me not knowing what was happening to me, so much so that it was going to be poisoning me up to hold that pillow over my head and make me die. As if that covert murder was just me dying on my own natural accord. Fuck these people. I'm heavily up against a fucking very heavy crime against me when it has involving of not only the gang stalking efforts of the police departments, but the gang stalking efforts being bled right inside of the people that I was supposed to be able to trust. That's what these proxy warfare artists are. It's so psychologically messed up because when it involves poisoning and these directed energy weapons and everything else, what's worse? Being hit with directed energy weapons or being poisoned the fuck up so these people can murder you? I would say being poisoned up to where they fucking murder you. Ah, my heart can hardly take this today. Having a hard time. I don't have that much to go. I'm trying to compartmentalize as if to separate myself from my own story enough to tell it. So these people are all literally psychologically messed up people, or these people are using these abuses towards me as the crazy making narcissism performed against me in order for me to not be able to get out of it at all, in order to reason through the crime that's just been happening to me as if the crimes themselves are just pointing at me and painting me as though the narrative is that's just me. They're fucking wrong and they're heartless and fucking just cold as fucking can be. But I'm not that way. And I'm not ruminating on it either. I'm simply trying to get help, the help I deserve, and I'm not finding any breakthrough without people coming together to side with me on this, side by side to say, dude, this stuff is fucking over. I'm gonna be here until we either get through this or until fucking we both end up dead. Dude, that's actually the type of person I am anyway. I don't know why I can't find any people in the world for me in that kind of fashion when it's literally me up against my brothers and me up against the fucking world in that kind of fashion. I'm not saying it as the whole world because that's schizophrenia, like, oh, the whole world's out to get me or whatever. But when it is actually people out to get you, it's not schizophrenia, dude. And anyone to suggest to me that murders don't happen every day is just you're dumb. Your literal skulls are fucking numb to see the truth of what's happening out here. So I literally need people to be on my side to be able to help me stick up for myself, to be able to finally say what needs to be said and reach for the discovery of the heaviness of the crimes that these people are being placed into in order to place me into the ways that they are. And there doesn't seem to be a way out. It's just so harsh. I don't know what to do. They aren't trying to stop this shit from happening. But these people did take money from people in order to silence me. These people worked in very nefarious ways to continue the crimes against me to allow this shit to continue. And these people are still doing it. I'm 44 years old now. And they're still fucking trying to cover up crimes that I'm literally talking about shit that happened 40 years ago and shit that continued throughout my life since then, where these people are still doing the same shit to me to protect the rapey shit of my father. And these people double down in their ability to hold their ass cheeks tightly and lie. Continue to lie about it, deflect and minimize and be completely bitch ass motherfucking niggas that want to act this way. So I'm out here to break their fucking heads now. Figuratively speaking, obviously, because these crimes against me are far too heavy and I'm not a fucking criminal. These motherfuckers are the criminals that are being this way against me, leaving me unable to fight for my own life, for crying out loud. That's not even being able to be seen by the medical staff when I'm hooked up to an EKG and having my heart drop to zero and the thing's literally beeping for fucking 5-10 minutes. Like, you're gonna leave me in here feeling this way. No one's even coming in here. I'm literally feeling like I'm going ghost out of myself, gonna fucking go unconscious and die, and no one does a fucking thing. Normal for me. And I go into the medical industry. The only thing that they're trying to do is work me over. That's it. Work through this crime to work me over so that they can protect the faces of the people that have been doing it to me to take about their affairs this way throughout my life. Oh, real nice fucking people. You should be paid really well for your fraudulent fucking bullshit, bitch ass motherfuckers. So these crimes against me have been really heavy, where I'm literally fighting for my life. But as well, they're not trying to do anything to help me out, get out of the abuse, that I can maybe finally live a little portion of my life with any kind of quality of life outside of these crimes for once. That I would deserve. I would really deserve to like reach breakthrough already. Where I want to sue these people for a collective of 999 trillion times 77 because the length of crime that these people did to poison me up, placing me in all of that danger that's been placed inside of my life is just a fuck show. Where or without my withdrawal to see these people for the proxy artists they were, the future faking relationships, or not withdrawal, without my wherewithal to see these people for the proxy artists and future faking relationships that they are and they were. Oh, fucking A. I'm not only dealing with the emotional pain in my heart, but I'm dealing with fighting for my life. From the aftermath. And for a while there, I was doing okay, and just right now, I'm not. I feel it all the way from my heart down my arm. I'm just over this life. I don't want it anymore. I literally don't. If I can't reach breakthrough soon, I just don't fucking care. Try and do everything I can do to like not smoke so much. The stress just hurts me. I'm literally like to the end of this work or this session that I wanted to make it be. I'm having a hard time. Oh, compartmentalize, you can do it. Alright, I'm just gonna continue to read as if I'm just reading a book. Completely not this story in my mind to get through this. That's what I mean by compartmentalization. I don't know if that's legitimately what it means, but that's what I mean by it. Separating myself from my own story to be able to tell it. So now I can actually remember the places and positions where people like Jesse Lee's cunt ass literally placed me in, the continuing of that poisoning. And Jesse Lee, yes, is a fucking cunt ass faggot for what he's done to me personally. And he's being protected with almost impunity to murder me. How? I have no idea. How is it even possible? No idea. And these people are getting it. And these people are gonna keep lying about this shit. Like, come on, man. Really? I've been dealing with this shit for 40 plus years and they're gonna continue to lie about it. I know he couldn't in front of me. He turned fucking beet red. Not even just like a embarrassed red. Literally beet red in front of me. Or it's like, I was about to punch him and I just thought, man, I'd feel bad for punching you. I don't know why. I don't know why I would feel like I'd feel so bad with punching him. Probably because they would have just utilized it, all the crimes against me, to suggest that I'm the criminal yet again. But that's the way it's been going inside of my life. So anyway, every single one of these people are liars and deceivers and con artists for real. Every single person that is willing to agree with me in private but not willing to stand up for me in public about these crimes, and even the proxies themselves admitting to how fucked up this shit is and then switching up against me after realizing that I'm realizing these things that they're doing to me, y'all are a bunch of bitches. And that's the fucking truth. Y'all are a bunch of con artists and liars of all kinds. You know what happened and you know what you did, and they're just lying about it, minimizing it, deflecting from it, and neglecting me within it. Oh, they could neglect me just fine when they poisoned me up. But now that I know these crimes, they can't neglect me. They got fucking trolls left and fucking right creating channels using my face, name, and image and painting me up. Like, fuck these motherfuckers for what they do, man. And all for people that are suffering in positions where they just leave you right the fuck out of yourself just to stare right on through you. Knowing the pain, the very pain that they're creating in you to keep you poisoned up, just to have to force you through it and to force you to figure it out all on your own. You're about to be named by people that can protect me because I'm not going to stop until I get closure on this. I don't care if I got a minute left of my life or 10 days